But we actually find out who this giant is, who the masked man behind the sun god is, and it kind of feels like we're in an episode of Scooby-Doo. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this chapter was weird, kind of interesting. It was kind of expected, I guess, but like in terms of who was the mastermind behind everything, or the sun god that was revealed, I wasn't really expecting that. But this is chapter 1129. It is titled Living Dolls. We know in the last chapter the sun god was chasing after the Straw Hats riding the Iscat, and we see different giants, and I gotta put that in quotes now, talking about how the sky is falling. Sun god, this is the end of the world, please calm down. And the sun god says that he is never going to forgive the Straw Hats for destroying his room or his temple. And then he talks about how you destroyed his servants, when he actually means his pets. So, you know, the mask and the facade that's going on about the sun god and this being Elbaf, it's starting to break. And I guess you could technically make the argument that this facade was going down last chapter once the Straw Hats made it in that room, broke the glass, rescued Chopper, saw everything in that room. But we see the Iscat, they are destroying the town, running away from the sun god. And I like this simply because I like pets, I like dogs. I have a cat at my mom's house, so you know, just seeing a cute cat just wreaking havoc over this town, it's pretty cool to see. They're headed towards the outer wall, which is past the Yggdrasil tree, and I find it cool that Nami, she was able to throw out the map because she was able to memorize it. Her being such a great navigator, being able to do stuff like this, you know, anytime that the Straw Hats can flex what they excel in, so Usopp, you know, sniping, Sanji cooking, and Nami, you know, just showcasing how she's such a great navigator, I'm all here for it. So I thought that was a really cool detail. But before the Straw Hats could get to the Yggdrasil tree, the sun god ends up putting a metal net over them. For some reason, I got like Fairy Odd Parents vibes of how, like, whenever there was a net, a butterfly net involved, they would lose their powers. But you know, this net ends up trapping the Straw Hats, or so we thought, until Zoro and Sanji bust them out of this net. And it's pretty bad to me that Sanji had to use Ifrit Jamba when Zoro just used a no-name sword attack. I guess to be fair, Sanji didn't use an Ifrit Jamba attack. I don't know, but it's not that big of a deal. But you know, I just wish Sanji don't need that, right? He could have just used Diablo Jamba. And so the sun god, he's like, oh, they got out of the metal net. Well, no matter, they're about to run into the ear god's territory, which we finally get to see the ear god after what Luffy did to him. He's, you know, smoking, there's bones all around him. It's pretty funny, honestly, because everything is just not going this sun god's way. And like the Straw Hats, they, you know, once they realize that they're not really trapped here, or they're not in Elbaf, they get to do whatever they want. It's kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie. His reactions to his guilt bunny being destroyed, it kind of looks like he's in a form, or like he reached euphoria, which it's a little weird. He's talking about how he underestimated the Straw Hats, how it's giving him goosebumps, and how evil has spawned and heroes, they're being born right in the world that he created. I guess he's just really proud of what he did, and that the dolls that he created, that they end up are wreaking havoc and, you know, have a mind of their own. I don't know, this chapter's all over the place, I'm not gonna lie. But the Straw Hats aren't the only ones that were captured. There are other pirates that are in Elbaf attire, and so while the Iscat is running wild and the Straw Hats are escaping, this is their only chance to escape. An interesting line from the sun god, he talks about how Hajrudin may have recognized him, but he doesn't see it, and so he wants to know what this crew is going to do next. Usopp, he uses a lethal green star skull bomb grass, which ends up breaking the mirror. However, we notice that there's some more layers and brick walls that Usopp couldn't destroy. And so Luffy, you already know him, anything that tries to get in the way of his freedom, oh, he ends up taking it back. So he's cracking his knuckles and he's about to punch this wall. Like I said, this chapter's been a little bit weird, his obsession with the Straw Hats, and I guess later we kind of understand why, but he talks about how he can't get enough of weaklings struggling, which is kind of interesting because their bounties are pretty high, so how can they really be called weaklings? But I do like how he talks about struggles and how, you know, that equates to character development, because that's true. But he says something along the lines of he's glad that they made their way to him. Talk about Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, like all of them that are here. He also used Tatsu behind it. I actually have no clue what that is. Whenever I do my breakdown early next week, I'll probably have a better definition for you guys. But the fact that this giant ends up knowing who the Straw Hats are could only mean two things. One, that he has a close relationship to them, or two, he saw them on their bounty posters. Luffy, he charges up a Gear 4th punch, and you know, he's not going full Gear 4th, but he ends up using this, and it's really weird that Luffy doesn't necessarily need to transform anymore. And I guess this kind of confirms that there weren't any errors that were drawn 2 chapters ago. This is just a world that's not Elbaf, a world that this giant ended up creating. And Nami, you know it, you know you done messed up when you pissed off Nami, because she's like, Usopp, there's no one to blame for a natural disaster, right? Usopp's like, well, yeah, it's a natural disaster. So Nami, she's going to use Zeus and get back at this giant. But if you guys have made it this far into the video and you're enjoying the content, let me know by leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. We pump out different content all the time. But we actually find out who this giant is, who the masked man behind the sun god is, and it kind of feels like we're in an episode of Scooby-Doo, but this is none other than Road, who was formerly, or I guess he served under Hajrudin of the new giant pirates. One of his pets, Mugen, ended up bringing the Straw Hat ships to him, and he ended up, you know, spilling the beans of why he's so upset and why the Straw Hats, he dislikes them. It's because Hajrudin pledged loyalty to Luffy. We know, you know, how he drunk the Sun Cup, and so he doesn't think that mighty warriors of the Elbaf tribe, you know, the strongest in the series, that they should serve under a human because they're small, they're frail. And he also ends up simping for Nami here. I feel like Oda used Road here in order to showcase just how the community acts on Twitter, how the community acts anytime Nami's on the screen. I found that funny. But since the giants brought them and were leading them towards Elbaf, he was like, oh, bump that, they ain't making it to Elbaf. So he put them back to sleep, and that's why they end up in this fake Elbaf world. They were trapped in the world that he created. For this to be such a mini arc, and it's obviously going to be a little bit longer, I thought it was interesting. A little weird, but I thought it was interesting. But all of a sudden, Zeus, he's in the cloud, and Road looks up. He's like, huh, where did this come from? And then Nami hits him with a thunderbolt tempo. I find it funny because Luffy, he's like, hey, it's been fun, but we gotta go. We got to make it to Elbaf. He hits the wall with a gum gun, Kong gun. We see everybody's reaction. Usopp, he is praying. He's like, hey, let us make it to Elbaf. Zoro's happy to get out. You know, everybody's just excited to finally get out of this building. Such a beautiful panel of Luffy's fist breaking through the wall, and we don't exactly know where they ended up making it to, whether it's the sea, whether it's actually Elbaf. No clue. We'll have to wait for the next chapter. Knowing Oda, he'll probably pull some BS like they're gonna fall off a cliff or something. I'm all here for it. But yeah, that's chapter 1129. It's kind of all over the place. Like I said, I'm going to have to do a little bit more reading whenever, you know, I finish this video. I have to go back, look at it, and talk to some people so I can do an official breakdown. But I just wanted to give you guys my initial thoughts. Let me know how you guys feel about this chapter in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.